Good afternoon, morning, whatever you want to call it. It's 2:20, so it's the afternoon. We're just getting up though, so kind of the morning for us. But welcome to the show, guys. I'm Russ Fritz,
and I'm Nathan Johns.
So ride along with us for the next half hour or so while we're
switching grooves.
What's up, everybody?
Not much. How are you, Russ?
What's going on, Nate?
Or should I call you Cold Trickle?
Cold Trickle after my. Yeah.
I have to admit, that was probably the funniest thing ever.
Yeah.
We met some new fans yesterday at Bowman Gray, and we found Russ's twin in the fan zone. It was kind of nice to meet him.
There was actually another one once we got into Bowman Gray walking around, too.
It was definitely entertaining seeing the amount of people wearing Cold Trickle jackets after you tried to be unique and not match anybody. It was very funny.
It was kind of neat, though, man. And we went to Hendrick's shop.
I had to get my hoodie.
You got your hoodie. I saw the Cold Trickle jacket, and that was done. That was it. That was for me, man. Like,
and then you got to meet my hero, and I'm still mad that I didn't get to make it down.
I called you, but
I just couldn't run fast enough.
Yeah, you were up the hill at another shop.
I don't have long enough legs, but we did get to see them working on the cars.
You were at what shop were you at?
We were in the actual race shop. We were in the same building that Rick Hendrick and Jeff Gordon's office were in. So Rick Hendrick's office was right above. He was able to see.
We were pulling in the museum.
And we were up at the actual race shop.
The administration building. So Jeff must have been at an administration building.
Yeah, he was down by you guys. And he went down from the museum and team store and came up to the actual race shop where his office is, apparently.
It's cool, though, because we pulled in and he was standing right there at the exits and entrance of everything.
Yeah.
And I just stopped the truck and rolled the window down, and I said, "Hey, Jeff, what's going on?" He's like, "Hey, how are you guys?" And he acknowledged you, and then we went to park, and I called you to let you know, "Hey, Jeff's down here if you really want to see him."
I couldn't run fast enough,
and you couldn't get there in time. But as we were walking over to him, he finished up his conversation with whoever he was talking to.
Yeah,
and he was walking towards his SUV, but he walked past it to the back of it to make sure that he acknowledged us and let us know, hey, he's like, come on over, but you got to hurry. I got to get going. He was nice and polite about it. It wasn't a jerk.
Yeah.
And he didn't just get in his car and leave, knowing that there were a couple of fans wanting to at least get a picture or talk to him. And I respect that. That is awesome. I really like that about a driver. And you have those guys that will just get in their car and leave. They don't care.
Yeah.
And I don't like that at all. I don't respect them. So thank you to Jeff Gordon. We did give him one of our cards. So
we'd love to have him tune in, but not expecting miracles. But still, it'd be cool to say that we have one of my favorite drivers join the show. That would be the coolest thing ever. But that was our Friday night plans we did. We went to the museum. And then Saturday, I don't know if it was your first time, but we experienced, at least me and my other half.
Let me stop you there just 1 second, because I do want to say before we move on, though, I want to thank Jeff Gordon if you are watching this. Thank you, Jeff. I really respect what you did for a couple of fans, especially being out of state that we are, and that's awesome of you. So keep up the great work with that.
I'm glad it didn't take that long for me to get my autograph from him. I'm very proud of that one.
I didn't have my pen with me, so I couldn't get an autograph.
I remember buying
a picture is just as good. So, but anyway, sorry to cut you off.
You're good. So that was our Friday night. Saturday we spent, at least it was my first trip. I don't know if it was yours.
Oh yeah, I've never been to Bowman Gray.
Entire day at Bowman Gray, and I will say that fan zone did not disappoint. We ended up getting parking passes right over by the fan zone, which conveniently was right by our seats.
I didn't even have any idea the fan
zone realize it was that close. So. Well, we knew it was kind of nearby, but so was the gate. We just didn't realize our seats were right there also.
Yeah.
So it worked out really well.
As soon as we walk in, there's our seat. It's like, cool.
The fan zone was definitely insane. Very cool. A lot of people. Very, very crowded, but, still a lot of fun. The modified race, I know you didn't see very much of it because you were busy with stuff. That was probably the coolest, most genuine Bowman Gray action I think I've ever seen. Like, you see it on Flow Racing all the time, but to experience it in person has to have been the most surreal thing I've ever witnessed at a local track.
And the action, I'll tell you, was like the parts that I did catch. Oh man, it didn't disappoint. Like you said, it was exactly like they say it is, man.
When
And
they
we
say
see
that the
guys
bad
with-
blood is bad between some of the fans and the drivers,
Oh yeah,
they are not exaggerating. If any of our fans and family ever get the chance to go to Bowman Gray, take the opportunity because it is totally worth going to a weekly show. I mean, heck, even the NASCAR show didn't disappoint. But the modified feature itself might have been the coolest short track racing I've ever seen, where it's straight on full contact. There's no tiptoeing around. You're either going hard or you're going to the wall.
yeah.
And that was
So basically, go hard
was insane.
go hard or go home. Basically,
Yes, if you're not racing hard for position, it's because you're in the garage on a rollback. Because, and we saw Hall of Famer driver Bobby Labonte, monster truck, Ryan Preece. We saw the leaders wreck each other before they even got to the start-finish line on a restart. And then the very next lap, they hooked each other going into turn one. I mean,
and
pure chaos.
Bumpers bent and sheet metal ripped off, and oh my goodness, it is just,
one of the biggest stories was the second place guy didn't have a bumper to even move the first place guy. It was pointed straight up in the air.
They said over the radio they'll put the radiator to him if they have to. They don't care.
It was great.
And that was Burt Myers.
Yeah, it was definitely cool.
Burt was actually on the show, Madhouse, and so I believe the winner was too, Chris Fleming.
Yeah, that's who won. Yeah. And who also got the fan challenge by starting last and winning the race, received an extra $5,000, which is
accepted the fan challenge and went to the rear to try to win the race and get extra money. So his purse grew by $5,000 just by doing that,
which was crazy.
But at the Madhouse, it's not hard to go from last to first in a matter of laps.
I think they had 8 cautions in the span of a 125 lap race. Most of them were right after the other. I don't think we had more than 10 laps.
It was 9 cautions.
I think we only got the last 10 laps went green. That was the longest green flag run I think we had.
Also under normal and modified rules, the caution laps count. So,
they do?
Yes, that's why the laps actually went. It was 90 minutes or 125 laps, whatever happened first.
See, I didn't think they ran caution
laps did count.
I didn't realize that.
NASCAR, they didn't count.
That's where the rules were different. Okay. I missed that memo. But that was the modified race definitely was a treat. I applaud NASCAR for having them run before, because that definitely was the best preview I think I've ever seen of what came during the heat races. I wasn't a big fan of practice and qualifying. Of course, the practice and qualifying really never was my favorite when it came to the Clash.
No,
but I will say the
really
heat races definitely did not disappoint. I think my favorite moment of the entire race was the fact that they're racing for a transfer position and absolutely just beating the stuffing out of each other for fifth place.
In the first one, but in
the first one,
the last 3,
amazing.
There wasn't a whole lot going on.
Well, that the battle between AJ Allmendinger and Cole Custer was for a transfer. So I will say that when it came to that battle, Cole Custer got lucky that he got that, that happened in front of him. But not, Ryan Preece, that's who it was. Ryan Preece got really lucky, but at the same time, I was very impressed that when he took to the outside, I think it was from 6th. I think he ended up finishing 3rd because of that move. Is he just hung it to the outside, and he was definitely making some ground on the outside. I was kind of surprised at how far he made it, going to the outside and then dropping in. I think he cleared at least 2 cars just in the process of doing that.
What do you mean clear? He shipped one of them off to another state.
Okay, well, to be fair, that was prior to him doing that. He shipped them from 7th, so he moved to 6th, and then, the outside is what I think was the experience of running the modified race. Definitely, I think, helped him in that case. I don't think I've ever seen somebody run from the outside wall in the corner and get the run the way they did on a track like that. He took it all the way to the safer barrier and then launched it down the straightaway, which was kind of impressive that he hung it that far out.
Speaking of the modified experience, we actually had 2 guys run
The Cup race.
run the Cup race that are not Cup drivers, really.
We had what?
Tim Brown
Brown.
and Smithley. I don't remember the kid's first
Garrett Smithley.
Garrett Smithley.
He's from NASCAR, though. Garrett Smithley is actually from PA.
But that was kind of neat to see those guys out there running alongside with them. I mean, they obviously they didn't finish the greatest, but I'm not going to sit here and talk crap about that. But hey, they were out there doing it.
I don't know. I applaud them. I mean, we had Ryan Preece, Bobby Labonte, apparently Garrett Smithley, which I missed that one. But heck, they put on a pretty good show with the regulars there. I mean, the crash in turn one before we even got to completing a lap definitely said we were in for a treat. Is coming out and already looking to beat each other up. And we haven't even completed lap one going into turn 3. Yeah, it was a fun night.
The NASCAR season has officially started. We'll put it that way, man.
Oh heck, the modified season's getting there too. If the emotions are this high early in the season, we get to playoff cutoff time, and it's gonna be an absolute barn burner. I'm getting excited for this season. If we're starting, the emotions high this early in the year, we haven't even had Daytona yet, and we're already got people wanting to just beat the crap out of
each other's necks, bud.
I mean, Justin Haley had contact with
Busch.
Kyle Busch, Ross Chastain, Austin Dillon. You go Josh Berry.
If he makes it into the race tonight,
it's because he shipped enough people to do it.
Somebody's going to ship him off to Tennessee or Virginia.
And I'm pretty sure they're shipping him to the coast because when it comes to shipping people, I'm going to give Justin Haley the FedEx Award. Because he shipped absolutely.
I don't know. Priest did a pretty good job last night.
Priest was a close contender. I mean, he absolutely.
He can have the UPS award.
He had the UPS award, but I mean that was a move I expected from Priest. Haley, he definitely just got in over his head and just sent Kyle. I mean, straight up turned him coming to the caution flag. I mean, that's.
In all fairness, though, Kyle was coming down the racetrack. He literally was coming down the track and cutting him off. So
I don't know if I agree with that one.
If you watch the replay, you'll see it.
They had been coming for a few laps prior.
They were side by side coming out of 4 and going down the straightaway.
Haley put him in the grass a few times.
I get that, but Busch was also coming down the track as they were going down the front straightaway, and he was just hoping that he would back off so he could take the spot away, which is a typical racing move, but. Since he didn't, Kyle needed to let him have the spot. In my opinion, I would have let him have it, got behind him, and moved him out of my way. Is what I would have done. But
all I gotta say is, if Haley makes the show, and I'm pretty sure Busch is already in, but if Haley makes the show, you better believe those tempers are gonna flare back up again, because I guarantee Haley is not seeing the last of Kyle. And I'm getting excited about that.
To be honest, I am surprised. As much as he was shoving him around the track under caution after that happened, I am completely surprised that he didn't just turn him around and say the heck with it. That's a different side of Kyle Busch that
NASCAR told him to back off because I heard that he had gotten a call from the trailer to not go any further to cool off a little, which to be fair, he did.
Kyle's younger days, he didn't listen. He didn't care. So
honestly, I kind of wish NASCAR would have just let it go because it wasn't like they were going fast enough to hurt anybody else other than the cars.
I miss the boys have at it thing.
I miss it too, but at the same time,
there has to be lines drawn in the sand too. I get it.
That line just need to be a little bit higher for last night. But I agree with the decision to have him back off because we know that when Kyle gets heated up, he tends to take things a little too far.
Well, they must have been listening to him on the radio because the people behind me that had their headsets on.
Yeah,
I asked them what Kyle was saying, and they told us that Kyle was actually saying he was going to take him out, but unfortunately he decided to start beside him on the restart rather than behind him. So
I kind of wish he did start behind him because at least at that point it
would have been interesting.
It would have made it interesting. I mean, in my opinion, it was very controversial that he went to the outside. Because if Haley really wanted to push his buttons, he would have just taken him to the fence.
Yeah, he would have done it again. So,
and at that point, it would have been. I think it would have been fair game for Kyle to just absolutely send him But at the same time, that is a very dangerous spot. If he makes it through turn 1 and 2, turn 3 and 4 is probably the worst spot to really piss somebody else off. When it came to the Ryan Preece and John Hunter Nemechek incident, Ryan Preece straight up hit him, never lifted, and just pushed him into the corner. I mean, he drove about another 50 feet past what he should have been braking at and just launched him into the corner backwards. So
I'll tell you what.
It was awesome.
It's so different when you hear these cars hit the wall compared to the old cars. The old cars you would hear crumpling and metal. Now you just
hear a thud.
A big thud, a big thump, dude, and that's all that it is. And they just keep driving right away.
Well, and I was kind of surprised.
It's amazing what these cars can take.
Yes, there was quite a few cars where you didn't think they hit the wall, and they had the scrape marks down the side of the car. Chase Elliott led the entire race. Didn't touch a single person, but he had damage on the right rear quarter panel. Like, I was kind of confused on where he got hit at because, nobody ever saw him hit. At least I didn't see him hit the wall. But it was definitely a little interesting. I'll say that. I was kind of surprised. But I'm excited for tonight. It's going to be cold. I know that. I'm extremely nervous about how cold it's going to be. But at the same time, when it gets cold, you see flames a little better. You see the heat. You can see the steam rolling out the driver's ears.
You like that?
So I'm kind of glad it's going to be colder. But at the same time, I'm getting excited to see, how the tempers will flare. Because I think it's going to be more fun. I think we'll enjoy it.
I think it's going to be a very, very interesting last chance qualifying race too, because only 2 guys can go, and then we get the provisional. So that'll be interesting to see who gets the provisional.
Well, I think I know who's going to get the points provisional, I was kind of shocked to an extent that Kyle Larson didn't make the show, but at the same time, he did not show up last night. I was very surprised.
Kyle made a few mistakes. I mean, as much of a fan of his that I am, he made a few mistakes that he probably shouldn't have made. And when his car hit that drain, after that, it looked like it just
you could hear it hitting the ground. When he from the in car, at least from the clip I saw, you could hear the car rattle off the ground. So it sounded like it damaged the diffuser or something. Which I don't know if it really makes a difference, but you could hear the car scrape off the ground when he came back down. It was very, very, pretty serious impact when he came down. It didn't sound like it was just a light bump.
And I don't know what he was saying on the radio, but I'm going to tell you what, in my opinion, from where I was sitting at and what I could see, after he bounced that car off of that drain as hard as he could, and it actually hit the rub block when it did that, I think he messed something up where it was just, it looked like it didn't want to turn.
The car just wasn't there.
It looked like it wanted to go straight when he was trying to turn, man. And then he had to just hammer the brakes just to get it to turn. So, in all of my experience being a driver, that's not a good thing. So, and that will slow you down big time. So, hopefully they can get it fixed and he can get his head back in the game and make it through this LCQ, man.
I just thought about this. There was another championship driver that I believe is going to be the last chance qualifier. Isn't that Ryan Blaney? Didn't he finish last?
Yeah,
I think Blaney got looped and just almost got a lap down because they never threw the caution because he got going again.
I don't believe he transferred.
I just thought about that. I think he's going to be mid-pack in a heat. He'd probably be back of the feature because he finished 7th in the first heat. I think it was because he got turned, did a complete 360 on the front stretch and just kept on moving, but he never caught anybody else the rest of the race.
Oh man, it's
gonna be a barn burner tonight. I'm getting excited about it.
There were a lot of people that made it that he would never expect to have made it. Which
SVG starts in his first full-time race at a top 10. Didn't see that one coming.
No, we didn't. And nobody. I don't think anybody did.
I think he finished
and
third.
That's what makes this race so great, though. When it comes to the facility that it's at, is you don't know who's going to finish where,
and those walls are not straight. So,
it reminds me this race about who's finishing where, and the lower level guys and the guys that aren't as popular, and et cetera, et cetera. It reminds me of when the car first came out, the next gen car, when we had 19 different winners in one season.
Oh yeah.
I mean, and there were guys that you would never even thought would win a race.
What, Chris Buescher? Then we had Chris Buescher rattled off 3 of them that year. Or no, he made the playoffs and he rattled off another one later on. I think it's what it was. I think he got his first win at Bristol with Roush Fenway.
The guys that looked strong last night. Denny Hamlin led from flag to flag.
So did Chase.
Elliott did. I almost said Briscoe. It wasn't Briscoe.
Briscoe finished second to Reddick, which was a surprise for me.
I almost called Elliott Briscoe.
Oh, well, either way.
But Elliott led the whole
Reddick.
thing. I mean, Reddick, these guys are looking good, and they got a great chance to win this thing tonight.
I'm trying to think who even won the second one, because now I don't remember. So the excitement of the first one hadn't worn off yet.
I think Elliott was the one who won the second one.
No, Elliott won Heat 1 because that's when Kyle and Haley got into it.
Oh yeah, I'm thinking of it backwards.
Oh,
I'm thinking of Chase Briscoe. I'm thinking of the different.
Buescher got the Heat 2 win. That's what it was. Because he starts next to Chase in the front row. I
absolutely expected to see guys like Blaney and Larson be up there, in the front, not having to worry about it. Wham bam, thank you, ma'am, we're in. And we're going to move on. But now they got to battle through to try to make it into this show.
Well, wasn't it I got to think. If I'm not mistaken, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think Kyle has to race his way in because didn't Ryan Blaney make the Final Four last year? Larson did not.
No, Larson didn't make it.
So that means that Larson's going to have to race his way in because he's not getting the highest on points. I just thought about that. So he's going to have to.
He's going to have to finish 1, 2. Yeah,
he's going to have to finish first or second. Which, coming from the back like he is definitely going to be interesting. I forget where exactly where he starts in the last chance qualifier, but that's no small feat.
The last chance is what, 50 laps, 100 laps? I forget which one it is.
I'm not sure. I know that the race tonight is 200. I would think it's 75, but I don't remember.
But I say. No, it's not like it's your typical weekly short track or dirt track 10-lap B main.
Oh no,
I say if Kyle if he has to start in the back, keeps his nose clean, pays attention to what's going on, lets everyone take each other out and just work his way through the field that way, because caution laps don't count. He's not going to have a lot to worry about. Just keep his nose clean
and stay away from Justin Haley. He's a wrecking ball. The kid's a menace. He's the next Corey LaJoie.
That could be his theme song from Miley Cyrus. He came in like a wrecking ball.
I mean, I don't know. He's like, what, LaJoie 2.0? He's always in the way, taking out the bigger names. I mean, to be fair, he's good at this race every year, just not this year.
Speaking of Spire guys, I tell you, Michael McDowell really didn't look that great in the 71 car.
I'm not going to really agree with that, only because I feel like he's a little too nice behind the wheel. He had a chance to, I forget who it was. I think he shipped the 34 car for the transfer.
Which was his old car.
Yeah. I was kind of surprised he didn't ship Gilliland. I
heard the announcers talking about that too.
Yeah, I was a little surprised that, yes, if it's for a transfer position, I'm kind of surprised he didn't just, pull a Priest and, punt them out of the way. I mean, not put him in the fence wise, but that was a little shocking that he was so nice behind the wheel. I mean, the urgency was definitely there. I think he finished 6th. He needed 5th to move on, and he just didn't push the issue enough. I mean, he's a good guy. I think he's a great driver. I just, I kind of wish the urgency was more there, but I really didn't see the urgency last night when it came to that. Because if you're finishing 6th, you're towards the front of your toward the front of this last chance qualifier, but that doesn't guarantee you make it in. And that's what I was trying to figure out, why people weren't trying to lock their way in instead of use the last chance as a way to get in.
So out of the guys that have made it so far, what are your opinions on who has a great possibility to win this race? Give me your top 3.
Oh, I had to go back and think who the underdogs were to eliminate them, because there really isn't I mean, obviously,
At Bowman Gray, it's hard to have underdogs.
it's kind of hard to have drivers that there were a few that surprised me. The most unrealistic pick would be SVG. That's a storybook ending type of feel. I don't think it's going to happen, but by all means, if he does that, we're in for a rude awakening this season. But with the experience, I was a little surprised he did as good as he did. We got Chase Elliott, Chris Buescher, Hamlin, and Reddick. Oh. I'm not sure. Unfortunately, Joey Logano did make the show, and like we were talking about with the people behind us, he has a tendency to win the first inaugural race at a lot of tracks lately. I mean, won North Wilkesboro on rain tires. He won, or did he win the original? No, he didn't win the original one. No, he won the first one on rain tires. He won the Bristol Dirt Race. He won the inaugural LA Coliseum race. I mean, he has a tendency of winning the first race on new configurations. I mean, other than Kyle Larson, who won the inaugural All-Star race in North Wilkesboro, he's got a tendency. So I'm not counting Joey out, but at the same time, I kind of don't want that to happen, just because I know how many people will be upset about it. He's a good driver. Don't get me wrong.
He looked good, but I don't think he's the top contender for it. I'm going to tell you what, and as much as you don't want to hear this, and I don't really want to say it but I'm going to tell you this. Tyler Reddick looked super strong last night. With the distance that he won his race by.
I mean, he did pull away from the field. I'm trying to think who
he looks really.
Who
really
is Chase
strong.
Briscoe chasing now? Was it Heat 3? Maybe it was Heat 2. That was Heat 2. He chased down Buescher. I was kind of surprised at how well Chase reeled in Chris. Like, he was there on the last lap. He just ran out of time. Had they had another 2 laps, he probably would have had enough time to move him and get clear enough, which I'm not going to count him out either. He showed that little bit of flair that gives me hope that he could do something tonight.
But yes, I mean, that's going to be my pick. I say Reddick, Elliott, and I'll give Buescher the third spot, man, because I'm going to tell you, he was looking good too. And
he definitely surprised me with the Heat win. He was the one I didn't expect.
Over the last season, I'm going to tell you, Chris's performance has really improved. Man.
Over the last 2 seasons, I would think.
To be able to race Larson to the win like he did last year, the closest finish in history, like that was awesome.
He had a lot of bad breaks last year. Like, there were some racing deals that he literally, anybody could have had those. Closest second place finish. He got screwed by Tyler Reddick at Darlington. I mean, there were some just absolute bad breaks for Chris last year. He had an amazing year 2 years ago. Last year, he got the short end of the stick on quite a few deals. Nothing of his doing, just bad breaks. I think this will be a year where he can kind of find the happy medium, where he has some bad breaks, but still has a very successful year. I think he'll be if he makes the playoffs this year, I say round of 8 for him. If at least round of 8, if not top of round of 12 at elimination. I think he'll be around the cutoff line at 12, if not just make the round of 8. I think he's going to make it way further this year.
But I'm going to tell you what, we're going to see Reddick up there in that Final Four again, dude. Unless something bad happens or he gets screwed over somehow, we're going to see him in the Final Four again, in my opinion.
I mean, just like Matt from Breakard says, that trophy case at 2311 is going to be just as bare as Denny Hamlin's. I would love to think that, he'll do good, but I can't wish him to have a championship just because I can't stand Denny. And that'll be the only way he'd get a championship is if somebody else wins it for him. I still think he's overrated. He talks a lot of smack, but can't back it up. So even if he wins tonight, you got a Bowman Grade championship of winning one race. One race doesn't win a championship. A series wins you a championship. I'm sorry, but I can't say that I want Denny to win. I don't think he'll do. I think he'll do okay, but at the same time, Joey held up Byron, and that's the only reason that they got so far out. Is when you can't pass anybody because the person in front of you is holding you up, and you don't ship them. I can understand why they got that far out. I mean, it was an absolute slugfest for Tyler Reddick's race, so I can understand how he got out there is because there really wasn't a competition for him to really pressure him. He was just kind of turning laps. I'm going to say Chase. I'll say Joey. And I'm going to have to probably say Chase Briscoe. So Chase Elliott, Chase Briscoe, and Joey Logano. Because Chase Briscoe surprised me. I was not expecting him to be as good as he was. I believe he starts, what would it be, 6th, I think, because he was second place in Heat 2. So I honestly think, with Chase Elliott and Denny Hamlin starting 1st and 3rd, darn well there's going to be some sort of contact or Denny will screw something up.
There's going to be contact all over the track tonight, man.
It's going to be an absolute,
especially once you get the full field out there at once. Compared to what they had for the heat races.
But we had 12 cars out in practice. It's double the field at that point. Almost double, 23 cars. I think they said it'll be the field.
And Bowman is just a tad bit wider than the LA Coliseum was. So there are going to be guys.
With the infield.
They were trying to go 3 wide last night.
They succeeded at 3 wide quite a few times.
With one partly in the grass.
Well, they had, 3 wide in turn 3 and 4, which does narrow coming off 4 with that wall. That wall kind of steps out, and then as you get to start finish line, it goes back in. I mean, Cole Custer absolutely destroyed that wall when he got hit by Dinger. I mean, that was probably the hardest hit I've seen, and he still kept on going. He just absolutely decked it. I was surprised.
I'll keep my opinion of Custer to myself for now.
He almost turned it to soft serve when he hit that wall. You're welcome. I'm glad you enjoyed that joke.
Oh man. So anyways, I think we'll wrap it up here and we'll do another
we'll have to do a post-race recap of how much drama we can get from tonight.
And whether I can join you or not. That'll all depend on what I got going on because it's a long drive home.
It is a long drive home.
We're down here in person and staying in an Airbnb. I'll tell you what, I will never stay in a hotel again if I don't have to. So
the amount of drain that I'm feeling is definitely real. So if you don't make it tonight, I'll try to do one for our fans.
But
we'll see what we get. We'll see what we get done tonight. If anything, it'll be a early morning podcast.
Well, I'll be driving in the morning. I'm sleeping tonight. I'm not driving through the night tonight.
Oh no, I'm going home tomorrow. I'm just on the way home before we leave. It might be an episode.
So, I don't know. I'll probably be up and gone before you are.
Probably. Well, I guess we should start getting ready to go to the track.
So, yep, we're gonna head down. If you are a fan of ours, you see us wandering around. Hey, stop, say hi. We'll take a picture. Sign autographs, whatever you want.
I'll make sure he has a Sharpie so he can sign his Cole Trickle for anybody who wants it.
Yep, I'll be wearing my City Chevrolet replica Cole Trickle jacket that I got at Hendrick's shop just Friday. So if you see me wandering around like that, make sure it's me. I'll have my City Chevrolet hat on backwards too, like I usually wear. So make sure it's me because there's a couple of us wandering around and. We have, what do we call it? What we called each other, the other Cole Trickle. That's what we called each other.
The doppelganger.
So it was a lot of fun. Like I said, don't hesitate to stop and say hi. We always enjoy talking to our fans. So don't forget to follow us on Facebook and don't forget to subscribe to our channel on YouTube. So with that said, Nathan, what do you think?
All right, Cole, let's get ready to go to the track. With Switching Grooves, I'm Nathan Johns.
I'm Russ Fritz. Say race hard.
Stay safe.
And we'll see you there.
Bye, everybody.